The forbidden jungle. The sky burned red as Jack's escape pod crashed into the thick trees of planet Zern. Smoke rose behind him, and fire danced along the treetops. He rolled out of the wreckage, coughing, his boots sinking into soft alien soil. His ship was gone. His team, gone. He was the only human left. Jack looked around. The jungle was alive with strange sounds, clicks, growls, and deep, echoing roars. Trees were twisted and massive, glowing slightly with blue veins. The air smelled like ashen flowers. This was not Earth. This place had rules of its own. Hours passed before he stumbled into a clearing and saw them, the locals. They were tall, with silver skin and long, smooth limbs. Their faces were sharp, but strangely beautiful. One of them stepped forward, a young alien woman with glowing green eyes and thick silver braids. Her name was Kira. "You are human?" she asked, her voice calm but cautious. Jack nodded. "Yeah. I'm not here to fight. Just crashed." The aliens led him to their village, built into the cliffs above the jungle. Strange lights glowed along the rocks. Everything looked advanced but also wild, half nature, half machine. That night around a campfire, Kira warned him, "Don't go into the jungle. It's cursed. That's where the apex beast lives. It kills anything that moves." Jack raised an eyebrow. "Apex beast?" Kira nodded slowly. 10 feet tall, teeth like swords, eyes that shine in the dark. No one survives it. Our strongest warriors died trying. Jack listened, but he didn't feel fear. He felt curious. "Maybe it's not a monster," he muttered. Kira's face turned cold. "Don't be foolish, human. That jungle doesn't forgive." Days passed. Jack helped repair small tools for the villagers. He built things, fixed things. But something always pulled his eyes toward the jungle beyond the cliffs. The trees whispered to him in the wind. Every night he heard the roar. Not angry, not wild, but lonely. One morning, while everyone was asleep, Jack slipped away. He followed the narrow path down the cliff and into the jungle. The deeper he walked, the stranger the world became. The air was thick and wet. Leaves moved on their own. Insects glowed in the shadows. The trees were so tall he couldn't see the sky. Then he heard it, a low growl. Jack froze. Something big was close. He turned a corner and saw it. There, in a pit surrounded by old alien tech, lay a massive creature. 10 feet tall, scaly skin, long tail, huge claws. It was chained, bleeding, breathing heavily. The apex beast. But it didn't attack. Its yellow eyes looked into Jack's, tired, wounded, and calm. Jack slowly stepped closer. "I'm not here to hurt you," he whispered. The beast growled but didn't move. Jack reached into his pack and pulled out a piece of dried meat. He tossed it gently. The beast sniffed it, then ate. Its eyes blinked slowly. Unseen by Jack, Kira had followed him. She watched from the trees, heart racing. "What is he doing?" she whispered. She saw Jack kneel beside the beast, gently checking its wounds. He pulled out a small tool, cleaned a cut, and wrapped a bandage. The beast didn't flinch. Kira's mouth fell open. "No one touches it." "How?" She watched as the human sat beside the monster, whispering soft words. The beast closed its eyes. Not in anger, but peace. Back at the village, Kira returned silently. Her thoughts raced. He didn't kill it. He didn't run. He treated it like a friend. Who was this human? That night the jungle roared again, but this time it was softer, like a song carried by the wind. And deep in the trees, under a glowing moon, Jack sat beside the planet's deadliest predator, without fear. First contact with the monster, Jack returned to the jungle the next day, but this time, not just out of curiosity. He carried a satchel filled with basic tools, some food, and a flask of clean water. His mind raced with thoughts of the beast, the apex predator. It hadn't tried to kill him. Instead, it had looked at him like it understood. As he stepped through the thick leaves, the jungle grew quiet. No insects, no birds, no wind. Just silence. Then he saw the creature again. It was still in the pit, but this time its eyes were already watching him. Waiting. Jack paused, then raised both hands slowly to show peace. "You remember me," he whispered. He carefully walked down into the pit. The ground was soft, and the scent of blood still lingered. The chains around the beast's limbs were old and rusted. Some were broken, others were cutting into its flesh. Jack crouched beside it, eyes never leaving the beast's. "I'm going to help. Don't bite me, all right?" The beast huffed softly, like it was amused. Jack pulled out his tool and began cutting the weakest chain links. The metal cracked and sparked. The beast flinched once, but didn't strike. After 10 long minutes, Jack freed one of its front limbs. The beast pulled its paw back, then placed it gently on Jack's knee. Jack froze. The giant claws could tear through him like paper, but the touch was light, careful, like a thank you. High above, in the jungle trees, Kira was watching again. She had followed him a second time, heart filled with confusion and fear. The monster wasn't attacking. It was trusting him? "What kind of human is this?" she whispered. She remembered her father's stories about how the apex beast had destroyed villages, eaten warriors, torn machines apart. And now here it was, letting a human touch it. Suddenly, a branch snapped behind her. She spun around. A smaller predator, a jungle crawler, was creeping toward her. It had many legs and sharp pincers, its body low and silent. It pounced. Kira screamed. Jack's head shot up. The apex beast roared, not in pain but in anger. Before Jack could move, the beast leapt from the pit with shocking speed, chains still clinging to its back. It crashed through the trees, slamming the crawler into the ground in one blow. Kira stumbled back, eyes wide. The beast stood between her and danger, protecting her. Then it turned and walked back to Jack. It sat beside him. Calmly, Kira stepped forward slowly, still shaking. You told it to protect me?" she asked. Jack shook his head. "I didn't say anything." She stared at him. "Then why did it do that?" Jack looked at the beast. It stared back, blinking slowly like a cat. "I think it chose." That evening, Kira led Jack back to the village. She didn't tell the elders what happened. Not yet. They wouldn't believe it anyway. A human, making peace with the apex predator? Impossible, but she had seen it, with her own eyes. As Jack sat by the fire that night, sharpening tools, Kira walked up and asked, "What are you going to do now?" Jack looked toward the jungle. "I'm going back tomorrow." "To tame the monster?" she asked. Jack smiled faintly. "No, to free a friend." Far in the jungle, the apex beast sat in the dark, staring up at the moon. For the first time in years, it wasn't alone. The secret bond. The jungle was no longer just a place of fear. For Jack, it had become something else. A hidden world where trust was being built, one breath at a time. Every morning, before the sun fully rose, he returned to the same pit. But this time the apex beast no longer waited in chains, it was free. And yet, it stayed. Jack would bring it food, dried meat, clean water, and sometimes glowing fruits he found on the jungle path. The beast would sniff the items, then sit beside him like a massive shadow, always alert but never hostile. He had begun calling it Ghost. It was quiet. It moved like wind, and no matter how deadly it looked, Jack felt oddly calm around it. He spoke to Ghost while he worked. "I think you were more than just a hunter once," he said one day, fixing the broken chain links into a kind of collar. Not for control, but for memory. Ghost blinked at him slowly, as if it understood. Meanwhile, Kira couldn't sleep. She lay in her sleeping pod at the edge of the cliff village, staring at the glowing ceiling. Her thoughts were messy, confused, restless, shaken. What she had seen, it wasn't possible. A human, sitting beside a creature that haunted her people's nightmares, touching it, talking to it, feeding it, laughing. She had returned to the jungle twice more in secret. Each time she hid behind the trees, heart pounding. Each time she saw something different. Not a monster, not a savage predator, but a beast that waited patiently for a human to arrive. And each time Jack left, the beast would stay at the edge of the clearing, watching the path long after he was gone. One morning, Kira finally stepped out from hiding. Jack was crouched beside Ghost, scratching under the creature's jaw. When he saw her, he didn't panic. He smiled. "Didn't think you'd actually come close," he said. Kira kept her distance but walked forward slowly. "I still think this is madness," she said. "But I can't stop watching." Ghost didn't growl. It stared at her and tilted its head. Jack gestured to a spot nearby. "Come sit." She hesitated. Her hands were shaking, but she sat. The silence was thick. The sounds of the jungle faded. Then Ghost did something neither of them expected. It walked up to her. Kira gasped and stood frozen. The beast sniffed her, then gently nudged her shoulder with its massive nose. Jack smiled. "You smell like me now. I think that means you're part of the pack." She turned to him, shocked. "Pack?" Jack nodded. "Ghost isn't just an animal. He's a survivor. He remembers kindness." Kira looked into the predator's eyes. They weren't mindless. They weren't hungry. They were ancient and full of pain. Later that night, back in the village, Kira spoke with her grandmother, the oldest living elder. She whispered softly, "Is it true that we betrayed the beast?" The old woman's eyes widened. "Where did you hear that?" Kira didn't answer. The elder looked away. "Long ago, before our machines ruled the trees, the apex beast was not our enemy. It was our guardian, our protector. But when we grew greedy, when we began drilling the earth and cutting the sacred woods, it turned against us. Or maybe we turned first." Kira's heart sank. Was that why Ghost didn't trust her people, but trusted a human instead? At sunrise, Jack stood on the cliffside, Ghost beside him, massive tail swaying. They both stared at the village far below. Kira joined them. "You know they won't accept him," she said quietly. Jack nodded. "I know. Then why are you doing this?" Jack looked at Ghost, then at her. "Because no one else did." From a distance, villagers began noticing shadows moving at the edge of the jungle. A hunter claimed he saw Jack riding the back of the apex beast. A child swore she saw the monster licking Jack's hand like a pet. Fear turned into whispers. Whispers turned into warnings, and soon the council would want answers. But deep in the wild, something far stronger was forming, a bond that no one expected. The village panicked. The ground shook, not from an earthquake, not from a storm, from footsteps, heavy, deep, slow, the kind of sound that made birds fly and trees go still. Aliens ran to the edge of the cliff village. Children screamed, warriors grabbed weapons, elders called for silence. And then they saw it. The apex beast, walking through the mist, right beside the human. Jack didn't flinch. His hand rested gently on Ghost's thick shoulder. The giant creature moved calmly, like a lion on a leash. But there was no leash, no chain, just trust. The villagers backed away, wide-eyed, some shouting warnings, "Get the children, it's loose, kill it before it attacks." Ghost stopped in the center of the main square, right under the glowing temple tree. Jack stepped forward, raising both hands. "He's not here to fight. He's not your enemy." The warriors raised their rifles anyway. Kira ran into the square out of breath. "Stop. Don't shoot." She stood in front of Jack, facing the angry crowd. It's true, I saw it myself. Jack saved the beast, he fed it, he healed it. One of the council leaders, a tall male with blue horns and golden armor, stepped forward. You brought death into our home, human. You think taming it makes you a hero? Jack kept calm. Taming? No. I didn't tame anything. I earned his trust. He could have killed me any day. But he didn't. The crowd murmured. Ghost growled low, sensing danger, but stayed beside Jack, unmoving. Then something unexpected happened. A child stepped forward. A small alien girl, no older than 6, walked up to Ghost and held out a fruit. Ghost sniffed it, then gently took it from her hand. The crowd fell silent. No growl, no attack. Just a quiet moment of peace. But peace doesn't last long. That night, in the shadows behind the village, a group of masked warriors gathered. This human must leave, one hissed, before that thing turns on us. Exile him, tonight, quietly. The elders will understand later. They didn't know Kira was listening from the trees above. Her heart pounded. They were planning something worse. Meanwhile, Jack sat near the temple tree, Ghost sleeping beside him like a curled mountain of muscle. Kira rushed to him. They're coming. They want to exile you, maybe worse. Jack stood up slowly. I figured. We have to go. Now. Jack looked at Ghost, then at her. He won't let them take me, but they'll try. He nodded. Then we leave together. Before sunrise, they left the village quietly. Kira helped Jack carry supplies. Ghost led the way, clearing the jungle path with a swish of his tail. By the time the angry warriors reached Jack's hut, it was empty. Only ashes from the fire remained, and one large claw mark carved into the stone wall. In the jungle, they set up a small camp beneath a hollow tree with glowing roots. Kira built a small shelter. Jack caught a few fruits. Ghost stood guard at the edge of the light. None of them spoke, for a while. Finally, Kira whispered, You could have stayed and let them kill the beast. Jack shook his head. They were afraid. I was afraid too. But I saw something in his eyes. A kind of pain. A kind of memory. Kira looked at Ghost. He used to protect us long ago. My grandmother told me. We betrayed him. Ghost let out a soft, low rumble. Maybe he understood. Maybe he remembered. That night, far away from the village, Jack, Kira, and Ghost sat beside a quiet fire. Alone. Hunted. Exiled. But together. What started as survival was slowly becoming something more. A new tribe. A new bond. A new beginning. Betrayal. In the dark, the jungle had turned cold. Even the glowing trees seemed dimmer. The air was thick and silent, like it was holding its breath. Jack lay beside the small fire, staring up through the branches. Ghost was curled beside him, one golden eye half open. Kira sat across the flames, sharpening a spear made from alien bone. They were no longer just survivors. They were fugitives, and something was hunting them now. Earlier that night, Jack had found something strange, a piece of black metal buried under a root, too clean, too smooth to belong in nature. He held it up to the firelight. What is it? Kira asked. It's a tracking node, Jack said slowly. This wasn't here yesterday. Ghost sniffed the air and growled. Jack stood fast. We need to move. But it was too late. A scream ripped through the jungle. Flashes of light lit the trees. Energy bolts cracked through the branches, slicing the night. Alien soldiers, painted in black war markings, poured in from every side. They weren't village guards. These were hunters, sent to erase the problem. Capture the beast. Kill the human if he resists, one shouted. Jack grabbed Kira's hand. Run! Ghost charged forward like a falling mountain, his roar shaking the ground. One soldier fired. Ghost took the blast to his shoulder, stumbled, but didn't fall. Jack tossed a smoke bomb and dragged Kira into the trees. They ran for what felt like hours. Finally, they collapsed near a ruined stone gate deep inside the jungle, half buried by roots and time. Ghost limped behind them, bleeding from the shoulder. "We can't keep running," Jack said, breathing hard. "They'll chase us until we're dead." Kira looked around the ruins. "I've seen this place before, in old scrolls. This was once the Beast Temple, where the Apex Guardian made its oath to our people." Jack looked at Ghost. "Your home?" The beast touched the stone wall with his claw. A low hum vibrated through the ruins. The wall shifted, symbols lit up, glowing blue. A door opened into darkness. Inside, they found carvings on the walls, scenes of the apex beast fighting beside alien warriors, protecting villages, standing guard at holy trees. Then came the betrayal. In one carving, alien leaders bowed to machines. The drilling, machines, and turned on the Guardian. The last carving showed the beast being chained in the jungle. Kira stepped back, her voice shaking. "It's true. We didn't just fear him. We broke our promise." Jack looked at Ghost. "They didn't lock you up because you turned violent. They locked you up so they could take the land." Ghost let out a long, low growl. "Less anger, more pain." Kira whispered, "We owe you everything, and gave you nothing." Suddenly a voice echoed from the shadows. "You found the truth. Now what will you do with it?" A figure stepped out. It was Kira's father, the commander of the village guard. He was armored, scarred, and holding a plasma blade. "You've made a mess, daughter," he said coldly. "And you, human, you've turned our nightmare into a symbol." He raised the blade. "The council says kill the beast, and you." Ghost growled. Jack stepped forward, shielding him. "I won't let you hurt him." The commander laughed. "You think that thing sees you as a friend? Wait until it gets hungry." Kira moved between them. "Father, you're wrong. Ghost remembers who he is. Maybe we forgot, but he didn't." The commander hesitated. "You'd choose a beast over your own people?" "I'd choose the one who kept his word," she said, tears in her voice. Suddenly, more lights glowed behind the commander. But it wasn't soldiers. It was villagers. Young ones, old ones. Quiet. Watching. They had followed the trail. Followed the smoke. And seen the temple open again after centuries. The truth had spread. The betrayal couldn't be buried anymore. And the beast they had feared had saved their children. The commander lowered his blade slowly, then turned and walked into the jungle alone. Later that night, Jack bandaged Ghost's wounds. Kira sat beside him. "What now?" Jack looked at the sky. "They'll come again. Not from the village, but from above, from the cities, from those who built the machines." Kira nodded. "Then we fight. Together." Ghost growled softly in agreement, and deep in the earth, beneath the beast temple, something ancient began to awaken. The jungle wasn't done yet, and neither were they. The real enemy, the jungle, shook again. But this time it wasn't Ghost, it wasn't Jack, and it wasn't any soldier. Something deep underground had awakened. The beast temple's floor began to crack, thin lines of red light glowing through ancient stone. The carvings on the walls flickered, then shattered. Ghost rose fast, every muscle tensed. Jack grabbed Kira's arm. "We need to get out. Now." Before they could move, the ground split wide open. From the pit rose a creature of metal and bone, with tentacles like cables and a glowing broken face. It let out a screech that made blood run cold. "What is that?" Kira shouted. Ghost roared, not in rage this time, but fear. They barely escaped the ruins as more cracks split through the trees. Red mist hissed up into the air. Everywhere it touched, plants withered, animals shrieked, and trees collapsed. Jack stumbled through the roots. "This isn't natural. That thing, it's not part of this world," Kira gasped. "I've read legends, the void parasites. They were buried beneath the planet before our kind ever walked here." She looked at Jack, heart racing. The machines woke them up. The mining drills. The greed. We opened the door. The parasite dragged itself out of the hole, scanning the forest with insect-like sensors. Smaller creatures crawled out beside it, half metal, half organic, moving in a swarm. "They're spreading," Jack said, horrified. "Feeding on everything." Ghost stood in front of them, teeth bared, tail low, growling like thunder. But even he took one step back. Back in the village, the sky was turning red. Birds flew away in chaotic swarms. The rivers began to boil. The villagers rushed to the temple cliffs where they could see the jungle glowing from within. Elder Tira stepped forward, leaning on her staff. "It's happened," she whispered. "The curse has returned." Someone asked, "What do we do?" A young warrior pointed to the jungle. "The human is still there, and the beast. Then we have a chance," said the elder. That night, Jack, Kira, and Ghost stood on a ridge above the spreading corruption. They watched the parasite swarm consume everything: trees, beasts, even stone. "They're heading for the village," Kira whispered. Jack looked down. "They'll destroy everything, then move to the next planet." He turned to Ghost. "I don't know if you can understand me, but I need you now more than ever. They think you're the monster, but you're the only thing that can stop them." Ghost looked into Jack's eyes, then slowly he bowed his head. A silent promise. They ran toward the village together, man, girl, and beast. When they arrived, warriors aimed weapons, until they saw Ghost limping, wounded, but standing beside Jack, like a knight beside his king. "He's not our enemy," Kira shouted. "The real enemy is under our feet, and it's coming fast." The crowd parted. The council hesitated. Then Elder Tira stepped forward. "The beast we feared is now our guardian once more. Let the jungle rise." The final battle began at dawn. Hundreds of villagers armed with energy spears, plasma bows, and flame nets lined the cliffs. Jack worked with their engineers to build traps, explosives, and power coils using Ghost's strength and his own earth knowledge. Kira led the young warriors. Her voice shook with courage, and in the center of it all, Ghost stood tall, scars glowing, teeth bared. When the swarm arrived, it was like watching night fall during the day. The parasites screamed, lashed, swarmed over the earth like a flood of crawling nightmares. Ghost charged into them with a roar that split the sky. Jack followed. Kira too. Together they fought, not just for survival, but for redemption, for truth, for home. And in the end, as the biggest parasite rose with a blast of red lightning to strike down Jack, Ghost leapt. One last roar. One final strike. The parasite shattered, its body burning in white flame. Silence fell. The jungle breathed again. Later, as dawn broke through the trees, Jack sat on the soft earth, bloodied but alive. Kira leaned against him. Ghost lay beside them, breathing slow, eyes half closed but peaceful. The villagers gathered around, not in fear, but in awe, and for the first time in generations, the jungle felt safe again. A new legacy. The battle was over, but the scars of war remained. The jungle was quiet again, yet different. The trees no longer whispered in fear. They stood tall, proud, as if watching over their guardians. Jack sat beside a small stream, washing blood from his hands. His shirt was torn, his arms bruised, but his spirit was unbroken. Across from him, Ghost rested on the earth, his giant frame rising and falling with each slow breath. The once feared predator was covered in cuts, but his eyes were calm. At his side sat Kira, her silver skin glowing faintly in the soft morning light. Her arm was in a sling, but she smiled. "He saved us all," she said quietly. Jack nodded. "He saved me first." The villagers gathered below the cliffs, not as enemies, not with weapons. They came with hands full of herbs, healing cloth, and food. Children approached Ghost slowly, placing flowers on the ground before him. One small boy whispered, "Thank you, big one." Ghost blinked gently, then lowered his massive head. The village had changed, and so had its people. Later that day, the elders met in the temple square. They asked Jack to step forward. He did, wearing a new tunic stitched with both earth and zern, symbols, a mark of peace. Elder Tira spoke loudly. This human, this outsider, gave us back what we lost long ago. Trust, the crowd murmured in agreement. And the beast, she added, whom we called Monster, has become our guardian once more. We name him now, Varnock, protector of the deep. Ghost, Varnock, raised his head to the sky and let out a roar, not of rage but of honor. That evening, Jack and Kira stood on a hill looking down at the jungle. Small fires burned in celebration. Music echoed through the trees. You don't have to stay, Kira said softly. You've earned your way. Off this planet, they would send a ship. Jack looked at her. I came here by accident, he said. But I stayed by choice. She smiled. And now? He glanced at Ghost resting under the stars, then back at her. I think I found something worth staying for. Over the next months, things changed quickly. The villagers, once afraid of the jungle, now protected it. They tore down the mining machines, the drills, the poison factories, and in their place they built a school among the trees, the Guardian's Hall, where children would learn the true history of the apex beast, and the day the humans saved the world not by conquering, but by listening. Jack became more than a guest. He became a teacher, a builder, and a bridge between two worlds. And Kira? She became a leader, a voice for truth. And every morning, she walked beside Ghost through the jungle trails, no longer hunter or hunted, but equals. One day, a ship from Earth finally arrived. They sent a message down. Commander Jack, are you alive? Do you require rescue? He looked at the message, then at the village, then at the wild jungle where Ghost was waiting with Kira. Jack smiled and simply replied, I'm already home. At the edge of the jungle, a statue was carved. 3 figures standing together, a human man, an alien girl, and a mighty beast. Beneath it, the words were written in both languages. He did not tame the monster. He reminded it what it meant to be loved. And thus, in the heart of the once feared jungle, a new legend was born, of man, beast, and bond. One that would echo through the stars for generations. The end.